All right, let's get it. So about me, my name is Matt Simon. I'm a senior at Jonathan Law. I'm attending Sacred Heart University next year. I will be double majoring in coding and game design, as well as in information technology. I plan on exploring the computer science after I graduate. So where did I intern? My internship took place at PKF O'Connor Davies. It is located, well, the office I worked in was located in the corporate towers in Shelton. They have 19 other locations that include India, Boston, and New York, and those pictures are some of the offices. That bottom one right there is the corporate tower where I worked at. So the mission statement is that we exist to serve clients at a higher level, going beyond passive value projection to active value creation. We do this through relentless connections that drive efficiencies, uncover opportunities, and eliminate risk. And below every email, there's always the phrase, no greater value. So my site supervisor,
He's a horrible guy.
Steve, he's the IT manager at the Shelton office, but he's also worked with a lot of marching bands and color guards, and he's designed and written and taught for various high schools and college level, including Trumbull, Newtown, Sacred Heart University, and Washburn University in Kansas. I looked you up, that's how I know that.
Apparently.
So some of the people I worked with during my time were Somi, so she showed me how to do tickets and how to deal with people having a lot of issues with their computers. Other people included Christian Stamm, Tom Uslage, Carl. Remember Carl? He showed me AVD, which stands for Azure Virtual Directory, Mark Ben-Simon, and Tom Hedrick. So some really smart people I worked with. So my experience. So why I chose this site. So I've always been interested in the prospect of IT as a career path. I know regardless, I would gain useful hands-on experience and knowledge that would be applicable to my college experience. My dad also does IT for his career, and also my mom works at that office, and that's how I got that connection to Steve. So what were my expectations? So I was expecting to learn about what a job in IT is like, learn about how servers and other IT systems operate, and I'd be interning about 5 days a week from 9 to 2, but that did change. And that is my setup, my little cubicle. And 3 monitors, my laptop, backpacks over there, some water, That was the get-up. So my responsibilities, had a good amount of them. So a big thing I had to do is that I had to help employees with a lot of technology issues, and the most common one is when they had to set up Microsoft Authenticator, and they'd use that for their account at PKF for anything. It was just another layer of security that was very important. I had to set up a lot of docking stations because there was a lot of interns coming in after I'd be there, and they kind of would use what I was using in the last slide, where they've had multiple monitors, and they'd plug their laptop into that. I had to connect them to the network, which allowed them to use all the files, on the company's directory. And I had to test a lot of things, testing laptops, making sure those docking stations worked. I had to send some emails. Steve helped me kind of send professional emails to the entire office, which was a good experience. I had to sit in on a lot of meetings. Thanks, Steve. I had help with some of his projects, which included imaging computers to Windows 11, which in the future the firm wants to make all computers to Windows 11 because in the future only Windows 11 will be supported. And they're also working on integrating their conference rooms with Teams. So I sat on some meetings and kind of learned about that. So what are some challenges that I faced during my time? In the beginning, it was very overwhelming. I was pretty nervous too, but Steve made it much better. I was unfamiliar with a lot of the words that were used, like when you said AVD. I had no idea what he was talking about. And I didn't have access to all the company systems, and that's something that Steve really did a great job with, is that he was always available to, if I needed to download something, he would log on with his information, which allowed me to download, and he was always there if I needed anything, so that really made it a lot better. So the conclusion, so how this experience affected me. Each day I felt much more comfortable in the professional environment. It took me, by the second week I was already comfortable and I had no issues being there. I was able to expand my knowledge of the IT world. I now know what a job in IT is kind of like, and I have experience of how a professional environment operates. So how this internship will help me. So it's a great experience that'll look great for college and employers. Going into college, I'll have knowledge that a lot of other students won't have. This internship will be on my resume and look very good, and I have more connections with the professional world. And in fact, the CIO my last day called me, and he was very impressed with how I did. So that's a great connection I have. Any questions?
Yeah. So I actually got the pleasure of reading some of your journal entries, which were fantastic and really very detailed. Could you walk us through maybe one of the more challenging or interesting, surprising days you had?
So I think it was last Friday. We went to Weathersfield. So Steve gave me a ride up there, and it was about an hour. And so Steve had to help a couple people with issues, but I just was focused on this one where one woman, she wasn't getting any audio on her laptop, and I've never seen that before because when I went to go check where the speakers were, no speakers were showing up. So she used some headphones that didn't work, and then the company headphones that they give us, they worked. But I had to sit on Dell, with Dell support, for over an hour, and had to work with that technician, and it didn't even fix it.
Frustrating.
Yeah. So he sent a technician to replace the speakers, and literally yesterday they replaced them. Didn't help. So.
Real life problems.
You had a question, Jake? You saw your hand up. I know you got a lot of questions, Jake. Come on.
What was the workspace like, the environment?
The environment was actually really good. That's another thing I learned when we went to Weathersfield, is that the Weathersfield office was very quiet and everyone was just kind of doing their own thing. But at Sheldon, it was a really nice environment. Everyone was super friendly. It was a little family. And I actually knew a lot of those people because my mom working there, she's worked with the same people for 20 plus years. So I've actually known a lot of those people, growing up. And it was just a really great environment, really welcoming. Even on the second day was my birthday. Had a nice balloon. It was nice.
How was the mac and cheese?
How was the mac and cheese?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So at lunch, there was a lot of places to eat near the corporate towers. So one day when Jake was at the office doing some stuff for his internship, it was a little connection there. I got buffalo chicken tenders and mac and cheese with my mom, and it was excellent. Lived up to the hype. Truman, you got a question?
Yeah. So what do you think is the biggest lesson you're going to take with you after this experience now going?
Biggest lesson. I'd say the biggest lesson was probably how to push myself out of my comfort zone. I really, especially being in that office the first day, I was definitely very nervous because I was like, what are they going to give me? What am I going to do? And Steve did a great job my first day too, just kind of outlining what he kind of wants to do, and it really slowed the process down. And I really just think I learned how to push myself out of my comfort zone and force myself to learn new things. And that's probably the best lesson I learned from that.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Hello. I am Jake Ackley, and I will be entering the trades instead of college, and then I will be pursuing the trade of fiber optic communications. And not to brag, I was the 2023 Brain Bowl champion. Where did I intern? I interned at CLS Utility and Construction, which is an unreliable name because there's no construction involved. It is a communications subcontractor for Crown Castle that exclusively focuses on corporate floor internet, such as the corporate buildings in Shelton, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
This is my site supervisor, David M. Murray. He's ex-Marine. He worked in the telco company at AT&T for 29 years, and currently is the owner and basically like sole like good worker of CLS. Why did I choose this site? See, I was down in my dumps. I didn't know what I was doing anymore. I was really desperate for an internship. I really just want to get out of school, you know? And one day, I was at work. I was at Gray River. And then I'm like, geez, I really want an internship right now. And Molly goes, oh, I have a great one for you. Let me just ask my dad if you can do something. Probably do flagging, something along those lines. And this is me in desperation. And then this is the savior. And then that's how I ended up getting an internship for CLS with just her dad's company. My responsibilities. Over the past month, I had varying responsibilities. I was a flagger. So basically, just put out traffic cones, block off traffic, block off lanes, open manholes. We sent him in a bucket up into the sky. We just had to make sure no one hit him. What else? I got to drive the truck occasionally. That was pretty nice. I was pretty scared of that for some reason. I was a helper overall. Grab tools, grab this, grab the cart, walk around, stand there for an hour. I was an extra body. Just hold this. Just stand here. Hold the door open. Floor 6, we can't prop it open, so you stay there. And then occasionally, I got spliced, which was pretty cool, where I connected the fibers together. And that was not like, that's surprisingly the easiest part, even though it sounds most complex. And one of my accomplishments, learning my color chart, was a huge personal accomplishment for me. Because before, I was very confused by like what was going on. There's 12 colors I don't remember, and I only remembered blue, orange, green, brown. That was it. But then I learned it all. Blue, orange, green, brown, slate white, red, black, yellow, violet, rose, aqua. And those are the 12 colors you got to remember. But apparently, in Europe, it's different. So, can't go overseas. And then I also, learning how to splice was like a big accomplishment for me. Because my first day, I went there, sat there for like 6 hours, watching this one guy. He had like set up a case and everything. And he spliced, and it took him like, literally like 4 hours. It took forever. But when I started, like I thought that was like such a big ordeal. But once I started getting like, all right at it, it was a pretty interesting, like, you just took one fiber. You have to strip, clean, splice, or cleave, because you have to get it down to the right length, put it in the machine, and then it combines it. And then if it's a successful rate, you just put it off to the side, and that's how you get fiber internet somehow. I don't know how. And again, driving the truck. Really big accomplishment for some reason. Pretty scared to do it. Didn't do it for like 2 weeks, and I did it alone. But my allergies were so bad that day, I couldn't breathe. Challenges and problems. The biggest challenges I faced was like the learning curve. It wasn't more like, it was, sometimes so like you work your way up. You go like one step at a time. Like, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. No, he just talked to me like I've been there for years. And he's like, so we're going to take this fiber and connect them here. That's 16 and 17. You should know that by now. And then we're connecting to the strand AOB1, and then to strand, what's the strand afterwards? Where is this? And I was all over the place. We have a whole notebook and stuff, organization system. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what half the tools were called. It was interesting. And then I just had no prior knowledge, no idea what was going on. Just realized I've been looking that way the entire time. I have no prior knowledge, no idea what was going on, and that just really like now I feel like I have some semblance of what's going on, so I feel like I overcame that. In conclusion, some of the skills I learned was a heightened sense of cleanliness, organization, and responsibility. It's a big thing to be clean, have a clean workstation, know where everything is, be organized. If you don't, you can lose a $900 piece of technology and get screamed at. That's what I learned. These are important things. I didn't do it, but someone did. And I learned to be responsible. Responsibility is a big thing. Be responsible for your actions. but mostly just don't do anything bad to be responsible for. Oh, here's also him in the bucket. We'd go in the sky a lot. So you either went in buildings, you went underground in the manholes, which is a lot of the time like Stanford and stuff in big cities, or you went in building skies, or like to the power lines, or manhole. And then sometimes it was like a big mess and we couldn't get what was going on, or we'd do night cases because we couldn't open it until nighttime, but we just did anyways until, even though it wasn't nighttime. This may lead to a future career path. I'm not sure, because I have no idea what I want to do yet, but I'm going to try this out for like a year or so, see if I like it. I think I like it so far. It's pretty neat. And then this is a picture of me standing in front of my first manhole. I was invited to continue working with the company this summer because I'm such a lovely person to work with. And I think I learned a lot through this. My future plans. As of now, I'm unsure what my career is to hold, but we'll find out. It'll probably be something trade related if I don't stick with this. And if this doesn't end up working, maybe I'll go to trade school. Who knows? I don't have a question slide, but any questions? Yes.
So you were, I'm just referring to your last slide. So even though you don't have maybe a direct path, but you got a job offer, which is fantastic. If you had to correlate what you were working on in this internship with another trade, what might be an aligned trade that you might explore?
This is kind of like, even though there's no voltage, it's kind of like, I'd say low voltage electrician. It's maybe something like that. Or, yeah, just like electrician would be most similar to, because you're working with wires, you're working with cables, you're working with all that stuff. Like half the time we're in like the teleco rooms, which just has all that stuff. So if I were to do another trade that was like similar to this, that's probably something I'd go towards. But yeah. Any other questions? Yes, you in the back.
Thank you. So you said they offered you a position.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you accepted it.
Yeah.
And so what kind of tasks are you going to be doing now in your paid position that you weren't doing in your?
Oh, it's all the same stuff. I'm doing the same exact thing.
So you're just gonna transition over.
Yeah, pretty much. I've already started working like the past week. I finished my hours like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Second question: did they let you go up in that bucket?
Not yet. He wants to get me up in the bucket. I'm like, I want to get in that bucket. And he's like, soon we'll be doing it. And then I was like, oh, I really. And then he's like, one day he said we might do it. We're in an off day, but I still haven't been in the bucket. He's like, you can't go in the new bucket though. You're not going to damage the new bucket. You have to get in the 09 bucket. You can get in the old one, and that's it. So yeah, maybe one day I'll get to go in the bucket.
Really anxious that you've been like up
Yes,
there.
you in the red shirt.
Like while we're in charge. Anyways, congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Alright, so having seen you in the later stages of your experience with this company, how did your work or your responsibilities evolve from the beginning, where you said you were just like kind of holding doors open, to at the end where you're actually like splicing?
So, funny enough, you gave me a bagel right before I started to splice, which was pretty neat. Every time you guys walked away, I just started splicing afterwards. I always wanted to be like, hey guys, look what I'm doing. But you guys were gone. It was sad. But it was cool, because in the beginning, literally doing nothing, grabbing some tools, didn't know what stuff was named, didn't know what things were, didn't know what it did. I didn't even know that light was sent through it. I thought it was just electricity. It's glass. It's not metal. But I just, a lot of it involved like, if it just evolved from like, he would have let me do the same things in the beginning if I knew what I was doing, but since over time I like accumulated that knowledge and stuff, he let me do more. I went from just holding open the doors and grabbing stuff to like he'd tell me to coil something up. He'd tell me to cut the cable. He'd show me how to open up a new cable, put it in a case. He had us do it in the field and stuff too. Like, that's where I did most of my learning, because like occasionally be in the shop, we'd learn some stuff, but it wasn't much. It was like 2 or 3 days we did that, and there was boring days. But then once I got to like learn in the field, it was more interesting. Even though it's like same thing, it's just like I was really scared. Like, don't mess up. If I do this, it'll be consequential. But yeah, I feel like overall it was just like a step-by-step thing. Even though he threw me in the deep end immediately, I eventually learned how to swim. Any other questions? Yes.
Did you go down in the manholes?
Sadly, no, dude. I really wanted to. The most I did, I got to open the manholes, so I'd get like the thing and like pick it up. And I got to like grab like a wire out, and I had to hold on to the ladder with like my body weight so he didn't like fall back in. What else? I got to see a lot of cops. I got to meet a lot of cops when we were opening the manholes because we just shut down a lot of what was it, like lanes on the highway or lanes on the roads, especially in like New Haven stuff is really busy. One time I saw a homeless man fall off his bike, but he said it's okay because he's missing a couple toes. There's a bunch of interesting stories I had like that. There's a lot of interesting people in New Haven. Any other questions?
Good job, Jake.
Hi, how's it going? My name is Truman, and I did an internship with the International Festival of Arts and Ideas. So, who am I? My name is Truman Martin. I am interested in the entertainment industry, and specifically film. I want to do something related to like video production or like editing, but I'm kind of undecided on what like specific field I want to go into in the film industry. So my internship site was the International Festival of Arts and Ideas. Their mission statement is, our mission is to create an internationally renowned festival in New Haven of the highest quality with world-class artists, thinkers, and leaders, attracting and engaging a broad and diverse audience, celebrating and building community and advancing economic development. So I had never heard of this before, but it's like a festival that's been going on for like 30 years in New Haven on the New Haven Green. I thought it was pretty cool. My site supervisor was Malachi. He's the director of programming and community impact. He leads the charge on anything programming and has more than 15 years of arts administration experience. And programming is basically just a big word for planning. It's responsible for setting up contracts for all the performers, for like all the events and stuff, and inserting all of the data surrounding the events, so like what time they're going to take place, when the performances will be, where they'll be, like stuff like that. And some of my prior expectations, so I wanted to learn about the inner workings of an organization that plans like art related events, because I'm really interested in not just film but like all of the arts and stuff, like performing arts and all that stuff. And then I thought I pretty much knew I was going to be like sitting in on a lot of meetings, because this was like art administrative and like more the business side of it, and doing small things around the office, so like kind of just helping out here and there where I can. And then what I actually did was I helped the media department a lot with editing interviews and B-roll to turn them into TikToks and Reels, because I had prior knowledge of using Final Cut from broadcast journalism. And so when I told them that, they said, you can edit some stuff for us, and I said, sure. And I helped set up neighborhood festivals and film B-roll for them and interviews. I set up contracts for different people that would be performing at the festivals. And so the neighborhood festivals, so there's like a main festival that's going on. It actually starts tomorrow, and it'll go until like June 25th or something. But before that, they have all these neighborhood festivals that they do to kind of like spread awareness about the main one, and then also just to like spread awareness about the cultures in each of the different neighborhoods of New Haven. They have live music, food trucks, vendors, and more. Every single one is supposed to showcase a different part of the city. And those are some of the pictures of the stuff I would be doing. I would be setting up all these tents. I'd help set up the stage and stuff like that. So why I chose this site? I chose this internship site because I was told about it while looking for an internship at a local theater. It seemed pretty cool that there was an international festival that I never heard about before and that it was all about different types of art. Some of the skills I learned, I gained more experience editing using Final Cut. And it was cool to like actually use it to like send stuff out into like social media and stuff. Because before that, I would be doing it to put stuff on the news for the school, and it just felt like a different experience. Filming B-roll and interviews, and then data entry of info relating to performers for different events and festivals using Venue Ops. And Venue Ops is basically their like system they use to plan out all the contracting and all of the stuff for the performers. It's how we keep the schedule and stuff, so that's basically where the hub of everything is that we plan. And I don't have a question slide either, but any questions?
Yeah, I want to know what was maybe like the most challenging day you had while you were there.
So the neighborhood festivals are pretty challenging because they're very busy. I showed up at like 8:30, and the neighborhood festivals would usually start around like 2 or 3. So basically that entire time we're just setting stuff up. There's a big U-Haul full of stuff like tables, tents, chairs, water jugs, like all sorts of stuff. And our main priority is just getting all that stuff off the U-Haul before they have to move it and setting it all up before all the vendors come, because all the tents are for the vendors, so we help them set up all their areas where they can sell stuff. So I'd say the neighborhood festivals are usually the craziest. They're a lot more manual labor, but I like that. It's kind of fun. So
Kept you busy?
yeah.
Do you help like run them too, not just like set up the stuff?
Yeah. So I'd get to stick around after, because after we set them up, I would go to the media team and actually help film B-roll and get some interviews of the vendors and other people at the festival and stuff like that. So yeah.
Seems like you worked with a lot of people. What kinds of people did you meet in connection with?
So I met all kinds of people in New Haven. Like I met police officers who were there just hanging out. Like I thought they were there to, there was actually this big like SWAT truck where like they were security and stuff. But then there were a bunch of other police officers who I thought were there for also security, but they were like, no, we just came here because we had some free time and we wanted to check out the festival and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And I met this guy who apparently does a martial arts thing. He has like a class thing, but he was dressed up in like knight's armor. And I interviewed him for one of our Instagram reels, and I thought he was pretty interesting. So yeah, I met all sorts of different people.
Did you fight him?
Unfortunately, no. He had a sword, so I didn't feel like I could match his capabilities. And also he was trained, and I'm not. So
Anything that you worked on that you feel like you could use as part of like a portfolio or work that you will be able to showcase in the future?
yeah, so I could use some of the videos as an example for like some of my portfolio type stuff. I obviously gained a lot more experience editing with Final Cut Pro, which is big. And then I also kind of delved into Adobe Premiere as another editing software. And and also the media specialist there, or like the media person, she actually offered me a job as like a production assistant.
Wow.
So basically I'd be, instead of like more programming stuff and like manual labor helping set up all this stuff, I'd be specifically filming stuff, editing, video production, that more side of things that I'm really interested in. So yeah.
So are you thinking of taking that opportunity?
Yeah.
Awesome. It was exciting.
Yeah. I guess my question for you is there things that you learned at school while you were at Jonathan Law that then you were able to utilize during your time at your internship?
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing was my time in broadcast journalism. That really helped because I kind of knew my way around cameras already. I knew my way around sound equipment, stuff like that. It just really helped having, like, if I had no prior knowledge, it would have been I think it would have taken a lot longer or maybe they wouldn't have even let me because it's just a lot of stuff, expensive equipment and stuff like that. But that prior knowledge from broadcast journalism really helped me get the opportunity to film stuff and edit.
Great work.
So my name is Brian Owens. Currently at Jonathan Law Senior. I'm going to be attending Stonehill College as an economics major with a sport management minor. I'm very passionate about soccer, and it's what I want to be involved in, like in the future. And I plan on pursuing my coaching licenses soon, hopefully. So my internship site, I had the opportunity to do it at the MLS corporate offices in New York, specifically the competition department. I had kind of a hybrid style where I'll go in Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 5, and then at home was attend various different department calls and watch games and give a report on them. I chose this site because one, very passionate about soccer. I'm looking to be involved with it in the future, and explore the different fields in the kind of corporate world of the sport. And just interested more about the MLS because now a league that, even though it's in the U.S., don't really watch it that much. Not really that knowledgeable on it. And just to experience a professional workplace environment. This is my site supervisor, Alfonso Mondelo. He's been technical director of the MLS Competition Department since 2005. Over 40 years of just soccer experience, whether it was playing, coaching, or just in the corporate field. And his coaching career included the Metro Stars, Tampa Bay Mutiny, the Puerto Rican national team, and the assistant coach for the U.S. national team in the late 90s. Here's like kind of the vision of their like mission statement. Kind of is to be one of the top leagues in the world, as defined by the quality of our play, the passion of our fans, relevance of the clubs, and value of the enterprise. Here's a little bit more about the competition department, and they kind of advocate for the good of the game. It's like they're responsible for everything on the field for the 90 minutes that go on, whether it's tech problems, referee, anything problems with referee, like all this other stuff, like on the bench, everything's all set. So they have something called match directors, which is the point of contact for anything like competition related. And they sit right behind like the fourth official. This guy holds up like the substitution board usually. So that's one thing. And they're responsible for VAR, which is a virtual assistant referee, some new thing that was implemented into like the sport very recently. The refereeing kind of like discipline, so like fouls, red, yellow cards, all that stuff, match improvement, and like governance. And they're like responsible for like fining a player, or let's say the ref made a wrong decision, they will there's a committee that oversees they'll look over this decision that the ref made, say, hey, was this a red card, and the ref give a yellow. They can say, hey, it was a clear red. They all have to be unanimous, and then they can fine or suspend the player for whatever happened. And my expectations, sort of knew what I was going into, but didn't think I was gonna do a lot due to kind of it being like a real like kind of serious like a huge corporate office. So basically followed them around, shouted most of the day. I attended almost every single meeting and listened in and just sat there. And I thought maybe chance could go to a couple games, but I will get the chance next week to go to one, which is pretty cool. And kind of responsibilities. I attended weekly department meetings, listening to like calls from home. Like they graded referees after every match week, and the committee called, and then I watch and analyze games and submit like reports. And I met with different people from different departments, which was pretty cool too. Like operations, player relations, consumer products. I also carried out some research, which that was like I was responsible for. Kind of because they needed more of the match directors, which I was saying before, and they usually find them like assistant coaches for colleges. So I was responsible for looking in kind of a 10-15 mile radius of one of the team stadiums for any universities nearby. And I did one I think yesterday for the Orlando, Miami area, because they only had one, and so they need a couple more. So I try to look for all the universities there, and if they have an assistant coach that has kind of had some former pro experience or was a former pro player, kind of put on a list saying here's a potential candidate. So I did that for like a bunch of schools yesterday. potentially gave someone a job. Um, some of the challenges was adjusting the professional work environment, the commute to New York, which was like had to be there by 9 every day, and the only train that would get there before 9 was at 6:45, and they had 19 stops, and so that was great, and do that twice a week, and especially on the way back trying to find a train, I would just end up falling asleep. Sometimes miss my stop, but again wasn't used to like full-time job, the hours of it, and kind of getting out of my comfort zone, talking to new people, just like kind of something for me. And I maybe ate lunch once when I was there, because I was just meetings the entire time, just never had time to. And some accomplishments was experience a field of interest, kind of firsthand. Develop professional relationships, kind of received very good advice and kind of recommendations to use like on my future career in these kind of one-on-one meetings. And I recently changed my major to economics, and I felt like talking to everyone there, I felt like I could back on my decision in changing from sports management major to economics. So I felt that was pretty good. And some of my skills learned were time management. It's a lot of like being there on time, waking up, kind of going to all these meetings. I was responsible for finding my own meetings, kind of setting them up, just going, meeting at like, because they have 3 floors, so meeting at a certain floor, and then kind of importance of good communication, note taking, and just the amount of information from all the meetings I just listened in on, and kind of, I don't know if you can see it here, but that's like I met with 2 meetings with people from, I'm pretty sure, consumer products, and then one other person from the competition department. So there's bullets of I would never have done this like before this internship, so just bullets of kind of just questions, topics to talk about, and then the next page was important things that I thought when we were talking, and gave me some good advice on like books to read for coaching or websites to check out, and so it was pretty cool. And how to act in a professional environment, and learn to make first impressions, because that's what almost everyone there told me. First impression is the most important thing, and at least in the corporate world too. And learn to analyze issues from different point of views, since they literally review kind of like almost every like major I guess foul or thing that happens. So they literally have to use, I guess, different cameras from like all these different point of views, and it's just pretty cool stuff. How this experience will help me in the future, it kind of like cemented the fact that it's the only thing I want to do. Hopefully go into that, gain a lot of background knowledge and experience in the field I'm interested in, opens up future opportunities and can help me stand out due to my experience in this, and the importance of networking for future opportunities. So my immediate future plans, attend Stonehill, start my class in the fall, plan to start, looking for coaching opportunities, and hopefully study abroad and maybe get some similar internship shadow opportunity in Europe or anywhere else. Any questions?
Did you get to meet any of the players?
I got to meet almost every single person at the office is a former player.
Really?
At least in the department I was in. And then there's a bunch of players from, he's my site supervisor, he's from Spain, he has a lot of connections in Spain. And so we have a lot of players from the national team, a lot of players that played in England, some big name players. I forgot to put some pictures, but I had a lot of pictures with a bunch of them, and so it's pretty cool, yeah.
So it seems like a pretty crazy like big corporation that you got like a position as like what did you do to like when you were trying to contact them to get an internship? So like who'd you contact and kind of what was the process for that?
So kind of no, my site supervisor, he's been dating my aunt for a while, so
Okay.
so gotta get through that. But it was pretty cool, and
So you mentioned on one of your slides that you felt like you got some good like advice or recommendations for the future from some of the people that you met. What was your biggest piece of advice that you would take away and maybe use for your future?
I think for what I want to do, which my main goal is just coaching professionally, and it's a bit difficult because I haven't played at a high level. not that great at soccer, realistically, to be real. And so one thing was I have to keep playing, no matter, just for that experience, and patience. Patience. Don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone because it's all gonna help you to your one path. Like if you have to go into like ticketing, in order just as long as you're in kind of the sports, I guess, world, this soccer world, it's all gonna lead to one path kind of. And just got a lot of good advice on just how to start my licenses, where was it better in the U.S. or Europe, and kind of just like how to. It's great that I'm doing it at an early age, so I have to start, kind of as soon as possible. So it was pretty good.
Good advice,
Yeah.
I just want to comment. I feel like your confidence level has definitely gone up even since like the beginning of the school year. So I feel like maybe this was like a great turning point in
Yeah.
that process for you. So like congratulations on again that professional presentation of yourself, and
Yeah.
obviously you've made some really great inroads. You've got a great review. So
Mhm.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, great job, Brian.